Yes, so this is the cobbled pot. And today we're doing a Hungarian goulash. This is gonna be our inaugural episode. So follow with us. Right now we're getting our coal base started here. We got some good hardwood. The key is when you're cooking over an open fire, generally you'll be on the ground, but we found this old fire pit that we're gonna be using to hang our cauldron over. And you wanna start out, you wanna build your fire about a half an hour to an hour before you start cooking. So you can get a nice base of hot coals in the bottom so you can feed single logs in to keep that fire going. The beauty about a kotlich, which is what we're gonna be cooking out of today, is that the heat doesn't really matter. You're not gonna burn anything in it because of the shape of the pot. So we'll come back in a little bit once we get some things thrown in the pot and the tripod set up, but this is basically how you wanna start. You can see on the logs, we have some, you can see that we got a really good char, getting like a charcoal effect here. This white on the edges, this is burning really hot, and it's actually gonna burn a little bit hotter once this breaks down some more. But this is about a good level where we can start getting everything set up to cook. Pow! So we got lard, because on this channel, we don't care about being fat, and we're using the real stuff. We're gonna throw that in here. It's gonna take a little while once the fire gets kicking to liquefy this, and then we're gonna cook up some of the onions. There, see those onions? Nice and caramelized. Next thing we're gonna do is put our paprika in. Paprika, the most important ingredient in the traditional Hungarian goulash. We actually ordered this paprika straight from Hungary because we need the real thing here on the cobbled pot. You wanna put all this in and stir it around real good. Keep it from burning. Mix it in. And because our pot's so hot, we're actually going to move on to the next step almost immediately, where we're going to add the beef. So we're going to add our beef in. Now we got this from our local butcher, but it is shin meat that we cut down. It's got all the good fat and marbling on there. If you saw our pictures earlier, you'll see all the so get in there and break it up real good. Now it's not 100% essential to get a hard sear on it, simply because we are going to cover this with a cooking liquid, which is going to homogenize kind of what's going on in there. You can see that paprika gave it a nice red color. And we're also going to add our garlic. Which we're going to kind of work around a little bit. And once again, you're just kind of looking to get it all thoroughly mixed, but like I said, you don't need to get it completely mixed. because the cooking liquid's going to do part of that job for you. But I can tell you, it smells amazing right now. Got that spicy, smoky smell of the paprika and that garlic in there. You smell that garlic? Guy behind the camera, he smells it. And we got one last thing we're going to throw in right now is some caraway seed. You might know this from what's on. Camera's going crazy.
It goes on sports mode.
This is what you'll find on rye bread. It's caraway seed that we took into a mortar and pestle and ground up. You throw that in there for some added spice. Just kind of work that around too. Really let that get in there.
I can smell that.
You can smell that right away. It's got a kind of, I can't even explain the aroma. It has like a strange mintiness to it almost. And look at that. Look at that beef. That's going to be real nice after we get some liquid in it. So now that if you see our beef has changed, it's gotten a little more brown from the cooking. This is where you're going to add your cooking liquid. Normally you just use water, but here on the CobbledPot we like beer. And since St. Paddy's Day was just earlier this week, we're going to throw a nice dark malty Guinness in there as part of the cooking liquid. Really let that get in there. Now you're looking to just cover, you're just covering what's in the pot with the liquid. You don't want to go too high, or when you add your ingredients later, you're going to be a little too liquidy and you might have a boil over. So we're going to pour the Guinness in, give it a little stir, see, get everything off the sides, make sure we don't have anything stuck real bad. And while you could add, I mean, you wouldn't go wrong adding like another 5 Guinnesses, but in our case, we're gonna just add some water to work that out a little bit. Like I said, we're only going so we're just covering what's in the pot. You don't want to go too high. You're going to end up with a soup instead of a goulash or a stew. But I mean, a soup wouldn't be so bad, but that's not what we're making. So just enough to where we can't really see that meat anymore. So right about there. Let's see. Yeah, see, now that's good. Now, once you're at this step, you're gonna just kind of go through it again. Make sure nothing really big is stuck. Make sure everything's off the sides of the pot. Check your water level. I'm actually gonna add the rest of this water in there, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, we'll add the rest of it. And we're gonna let this go for about an hour, hour and a half. It's all really dependent on your setup. Because when you're cooking outside, you can't really, everything's a changing variable. I mean, everything could change in a moment's instant. And you never know till you see it start happening. So it's generally about an hour to an hour and a half, but it could take longer. So we're just gonna sit out here and enjoy the nice day, the nice weather, and watch this. And then when it's ready, we'll be back and move on to the next step. Good. So we're gonna add bay leaf now. You only need about, depending on how much you're cooking, 3-4 bay leaves. Just toss them right in, they'll do their thing. Then we're going to add potato. Just toss all those potatoes right in. Oops, lost some to the fire. Nice sliced potatoes. And then we got some carrots and parsnips we're also going to add in. We're going to give it a little bit of a stir. And then once again, we're going to top it with some more cooking liquid. This time we're probably just going to use some water. Oh, and also, this is an interesting thing. that I've never seen in a recipe before that we're using now is celery leaves, which are gonna cook down real fast. So I went a little heavy on them because I like celery. You just toss those in. We're gonna stir that around, get it nice and mixed together. Then we're gonna cover with liquid again. Grab a fireproof glove so you can really get in here and mix this in, because at this point this is going to be really hot. And to get all these ingredients stirred in the right way, you're really going to have to get in there and grab what you're working with and stir it around. Look at that. See that beef though? The color on everything just looks great. Now once we get this stirred up real nice, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Check that out. Look at that. Didn't even cook the potatoes and the carrots yet, and it looks great. Get all that in there real nice. Add some more liquid. Then we're gonna season again, or season with some salt and pepper. And then we're gonna taste the cooking liquid. And once that tastes like it's seasoned right, we're gonna let this cook for a little while until the potatoes, carrots, and parsnips are at your desired tenderness. And then we'll move on to the final steps, and then it'll be ready to pull it off the fire and let it cool. We got our cooking liquid in there. We're gonna just give everything a good stir again. Get that paprika really mixed in. Get everything mixed in there real good. You got, like we do because we've been cooking so hot, you got a little bit of some stuff probably charred to the bottom of the sides. If it's not too hot with your fireproof glove, go ahead and grab the pot, see if you can scrape some of that off, stir it around. Anything you can break up is something you're not gonna have to clean off and scrub off that pot later. What we're gonna do now is hit it with a little bit of coarse black pepper and some sea salt. And then we're gonna taste our cooking liquid. If the flavor's good, we're gonna let this cook till the potatoes get nice and soft. Throw in the very last vegetables that we have to add and pull it off the fire. And then eat it probably about a half an hour after that. I'm just using regular old sea salt, some coarse pepper. Don't need any real measurements here, just kind of add at your leisure. If you like pepper, go hog wild. Salt is in the eye of the beholder, and that's why they call it that's pepper. Excuse me, I was gonna say the master spice, but that's pepper. But just remember with salt, you can always add more salt, but you can't take it out. So put all that in, give it a good stir, taste it. If it tastes good, then you're good. If it needs more of something, add it, and then allow it to cook until those potatoes and carrots get soft. We're gonna give it a little test here, if I don't burn myself. It's a lot of paprika in that. That's good. We have that smoky, rustic taste, but it definitely needs more salt. So I'm gonna throw a little more salt in there, and then we're gonna let it cook, and we'll be back when we add some more veggies. And we're back for the final steps in the KobbledPot's traditional Hungarian goulash. Except it's not quite traditional, because I made a mixture of peppers. We have green bell and poblano for a little tiny bit of heat. Just a little bit, but barely. You add these right before the end, just until they get slightly soft, and then it's ready to pull this whole apparatus off the fire, let it cool, and everyone can dig in. All right, here we go. Listen to that bubble. Let's look at them. Look at all this pepper. Ready? And then the tomatoes. And I'm gonna do what I did before, and I'm gonna grab our fireproof glove so that we can get a good hold of the pot, because we don't want to burn our hand, and we really gotta dig this up really good to get this stirred in. It's all mixed in. Really get all that in there. Look at that. Oh, look at that. Look at that. It's nice and thick. You should have just enough liquid, cooking liquid in there to give you a nice thick base. Smoke's getting to me. You're gonna let the peppers and tomatoes cook down for about 15 minutes until they get just soft. And if you see it cooking to where it needs a little liquid, go ahead and add a little bit of water, a little bit of beer to just get a little more liquid in there. And then you're gonna pull your whole thing off the fire and let it cool. But we'll come to that when we're done here. But we're almost done. And that's it. We pulled it off the fire. After cooking for about another 15 to 20 minutes, those green peppers we threw in there are nice and soft. The tomatoes mixed in nice. If you look at it, it looks fantastic. It's ready for eating. So we're gonna dish some of this out. And we have a group of people coming by to share in it in a little bit. And that's what the CobbledPot's all about. Cooking and eating. So here we go. Let's go in here and see what, look at that. Look at this. Look at all that. I got one of the bay leaves. I don't know what those long things are.
That's the celery leaves.
The celery are spilling out on the sides here. Let's see here.
That looks good. All right.
It is. You get my pocket spoon out. Let's see how we did here. Get a little piece of meat, some of the peppers. You're really hot. So
It's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what's up.
That is fantastic. It's actually better than I thought it would be. It's smoky from the paprika. You can taste the sweet smokiness of the peppers from the paprika, from the fire, but it's got all the elements in there. The onion, the peppers, the beef for sure, tomatoes, all the spices. I mean, it's all in there. It's really hearty. I didn't cook it down as much as I could. It could be thicker, but I didn't want to get too thick. I wanted it to have a little bit of like a stew base, where it's like somewhere between a soup and a full-on clumpy stew, because this is how it should be served. This would be great for the winter. It's early spring right now, but it's still good for this time of year, and this is just, man. So normally this would be made on a stove, at least today. I don't think many people are cooking outside in a metal pot. But on a stove, I think you'd be able to dial in the heat a little bit better, which allow you to control your flavors a little bit more. But I think what you're not going to get with that is a little bit of the smokiness. And I think that really comes through from cooking over the wood. The beauty of the kotlich, this kind of pot, is you can cook at any temperature and you're really going to get the same results. We'd have a little bit of burning at the bottom of the pot, but unless you get in there and really scrape that up, it's not going to end up in your food. It's just one of these dishes that's designed to, I mean, it all melds. It's easy to make as long as you have fresh ingredients and the right amounts, and I think making it over an open fire is way more fun than doing it in the kitchen. And that's what the Cobbled Pot's all about. And on that note, this is Jeremy from the Cobbled Pot, eating and cooking in Norwood, Pennsylvania. We'll see you next time.